Welcome back. It's a global emergency indeed. The Tourism Minister Mmamoloko Kubayi-Ngubane says the outbreak of the coronavirus has already affected the tourism industry negatively. The confirmed numbers of coronavirus cases has jumped in South Africa from 14 to 38 yesterday. Now, speaking at the Tourism Leadership Forum held in Centre North of Johannesburg earlier this week, the minister said on the African continent cases have been reported in Senegal, Algeria, Egypt, Morocco, Nigeria, Tunisia and others. Just yesterday we were reporting on the first case in Rwanda. Now, Unathi Henama is a tourism lecturer at the Tshwane University of Technology. He joins us now in studio. Thank you so much for making the time to come through today. Tourism numbers in South Africa are already going down. What are the latest impacts in terms of the coronavirus? Globally, there's a 3% decline in tourism numbers. Last year, when you look at the annualized rates, there was around about 5% decline in arrivals. So right now, we are basically looking at around about possibly between a 5 to a 10% decline in tourism numbers. And we cannot afford that as a country. Remember, the tourism industry is a Cinderella industry. From growth rates of double digits. What do you mean by Cinderella industry? It has always grown. It has always grown and at growth rates much larger than the annual growth rate of the economy. So from growth rates of 11% in the year 2015 to a decline of 4% last year, that is actually quite regrettable. So for South Africa to maintain its economic prospects, it needs tourism to sustain it, because it is the second largest GDP contributor and the larger employer than even agriculture. So tourism therefore becomes a very, very important part of the economy. Hence, we are against the travel ban. At any other time, what you're saying would be considered and regarded. But these are different times. There is nothing new about these times. We had Ebola. We had the SARS with the MERS. So there's nothing new. South Africa has always been prepared from its land bed at its border post for these. And the issue here is that, yes, we do have an unfortunate public healthcare system, but we've never had these cases in South Africa. So this is nothing new. Yeah, it's not a bit irresponsible to say there's nothing new, because Ebola, for argument's sake, or SARS, they had an epicenter and the concentration was in specific countries. This is a global emergency. Even Ebola was a global emergency in that located area, even SARS, but it's not an issue of irresponsibility. It's an issue of a divergent view that people still want to travel. And if people look at Corona, its mortality rates compared to others is much, much lower, as long as people follow the guidelines. Yeah. Let's also indicate that there's, unfortunately, during this information age, there's been more misinformation about the coronavirus. Instead of people understanding the do's and the don'ts, there's been much more rage. And I believe it's important that people are informed about what to do in order to boost their immune system. And that's the conversation which I believe we have not had in a country. But I believe our rage is also informed by not taking knee-jerk reactions. Yeah. 2015, we implemented the visa regulations that had a negative impact on the tourism industry. We cannot afford that. We have a responsibility to protect the economic and social demographic profile of South Africa as a tourism destination. And that is at the heart. Yeah. That is at the heart of trying to protect South Africa. It's so big what you're saying when you say you're against the travel ban. Currently, as we're speaking, the president is at the Union Buildings meeting with cabinet to try and come out with a decision where most South Africans have been calling out for a travel ban. But calling out for a travel ban should be based on fact, not fiction. And the facts are that the numbers are going up. But the numbers are going up, but the question is, has there been a local transmission? No. So you advocating for people to travel and go fetch the transmission? I am indicating that society continues to travel even during times of pandemics. Yeah. And these crisis-resistant tourists still want to come to destinations. And for as long as they apply the World Health Organization principles, they will be safe. And the tourism trade has put in measures in place to ensure that the people who arrive and even their workers are protected. I have to say though, Unathi, I totally understand where you're coming from, because this is the question business all over the world has to grapple with. How do you put aside profit in the interest of humanity, because it's not a good time to travel now. Churches are being told to tone down on their activities during the Easter season. Soccer Premier Leagues have closed down all over the world. The Formula One season has been postponed because of this. Why do you think we shouldn't take it as seriously?
It does not mean we're not taking it seriously, but we're taking it based on the facts of the merit of the case. This week, there will be a game between Kaizer Chiefs possibly and Orlando Pirates, and it's going to continue. That is
we don't know yet. People are taking decisions
the probability,
real time at the moment.
Yes, no, but the probability is that it will continue. And if I'm wrong, it's fine. But I'm just indicating...
It's not fine.
No, wait. I'm analyzing based on the facts that are on the table right now. Yes, but all I am saying is that we in the tourism industry...
So when you're encouraging South Africans to travel, where will they travel to as countries, one after the other, start to implement travel bans?
Domestic tourism. That is the whole aim, is that even during these times of strain, we should be traveling within our own country to ensure that we sustain the tourism industry and the tourism jobs.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the people that travel, when they come to a destination, they eat food, agriculture benefits. If there is an uptake of tourism, the agricultural industry benefits and the industry of construction benefits, because more places will be required. So this is at the center of ensuring that this is sustained. Even right now, we should understand that if we are a destination that is serious about tourism, we should be top of mind. We should craft our message to ensure that when tourism bounces back, we are part and parcel of the solution.
All right, but I hear what you're saying, because domestic tourism is not in question to begin with. The problem is international travel, isn't it?
Even though there is, the majority of infections come from international people, but people still want to come to the destination.
Yeah.
And remember, for each and every 10 tourists that come to this country, one job, permanent job is created in South Africa. So in the situations we're facing as a country, economically, we cannot afford a travel ban, but we can also afford misinformation, sensationalism, and all of those things that are unfortunate to create fear in the lives of people, whereas the measures in place that are put are not draconian. They are possibly some of the easiest. And I've looked all over. The journalists that are reporting about this, they're not the ones wearing the face masks. They're not the ones having the gloves. So the question is, what do they know that the normal person who's fear-mongering knows?
So the facts that are on the table also say there's an incubation period. So even if you go through all of those protocols that you advocate for, chances are you might still have the virus. What about those particular cases?
I understand those particular cases, but let's also be indicating that whenever you come from a source country, then you are informed that, ensure that you incubate yourself, self-incubation. Ensure that if you suspect, go phone the hotline. Number 2, you can even phone your doctor and indicate that I suspect this, when can I come, so that precautions can be taken. But let's not speak about as if corona is airborne. I think the reporting could have been better about this.
I think, I was speaking to the ambassador of Germany the other day, and he was saying it's a new problem. It's a new event in the world that everybody is finding ways to react to. But you are saying now, you're advocating that staying at home. There's also problems in that solution, because people stay with families. Can you now go home and infect your family? Not every family has the luxury of each person having their own room in the house. So if you self-isolate, chances are you're going to take it to a bigger group of another group of people.
Yes, and that is the situation that also happened in China. It doesn't mean it's only unique to South Africa. When the quarantine happened in particularly Wuhan in China, that's a reality that also faces certain parts of the population in South Africa. But what I'm indicating is that it might not add up to the merits of a travel ban.
Yeah.
We don't have to agree.
No. The thing is, the entire world is going this way. Governments are taking these decisions. Our government is currently in a meeting that potentially could come out with a decision to have a travel ban, and it's interesting.
And potentially not.
That we can't play around with people's lives, can we?
Wait, but I'm just saying, we don't know the cabinet decision. There are two possibilities. Either there's a travel ban or possibly not a travel ban. Let's allow cabinet to come out with a decision, and then we can have the conversation after then.
Unathi, I have to say though that the outbreak is here, and people have to take decisions. Government is decisions at a higher grade level, but at home people have to take decisions. Do we travel? Do we stay home? Do we self-isolate? And these are quite serious decisions, because they could make the difference between life and death.
I see people traveling. I see people continuing with normal life in South Africa, and that's what I see. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming through, and that's your position. Unathi Henama, you're a lecturer at which institution?
The Tshwane University.
Tshwane University.
People's University.
Yes, and you're a lecturer in tourism.
Yes.
And you're saying you are anti a travel ban.
Anti a travel ban.
Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Pleasure.
You're watching The Agenda. Let's take a